Yeah, I'm talking with Bob Nestor with the National Weather Service office in Missoula. Bob got word that according to NOAA, that 2015 overall the warmest year on record, and I wanted to kind of bring that home a little bit towards Montana. How was 2015 for us?
Well, it was pretty warm across western Montana in general. Of note, Kalispell looks like it was in top 5 warmest years on record. January through December, and Missoula as well probably cracked the top 10 as far as their warmest years on record. And I think if you go back to June, we can all remember May and June, how extremely hot that was. In fact, June was almost warmer than July, which was kind of, for the most part, unheard of. We had, in Missoula, we recorded 3 100-degree days in June, and the previous 120 years, we'd only had one. So it was kind of an unusual year, especially for a few months.
Let's talk about
months,
let's talk about how El Nino has affected this. First of all, what is El Nino, and why was it such a strong factor?
Well, El Nino is basically what El Nino is. It's a warming of the equatorial Pacific waters, abnormally by about 0.5 degrees Celsius or so. And what that does is it impacts the weather at the mid-latitudes, up here in North America, for example, with its impacts being noticed the most in the winter months. That jet stream that normally rides further to the north, it's a little bit further south. California and the southern tier of the U.S. usually get wetter during the winter months. That kind of leaves us, for the most part, in the northern Rockies over a season, over a 5 or 6 month season, generally less precipitation than normal, and generally warmer than normal temperatures in the mountains.
I did notice that so many of the rivers.
I'm sorry.
So many of the rivers seemed really, really low this year.
Well, yeah, this past year, El Nino doesn't have as big of an impact in the summertime, or as big of an impact as far as teleconnections. It just doesn't. The weather this year was mainly driven by a big ridge of high pressure over the west in June. We had kind of an early snowmelt. We didn't really get our spring rains. May and June are our wettest months of the year, and we were far below normal, less than 50% of normal precipitation. So because that snow melted early and we didn't have as much spring precip, those rivers were low. And by the time you hit July, it's really hard to make that up. We were fortunate. We had an intense fire season for a few weeks, but we were fortunate in the fact that we got some rains in the first couple weeks of July to kind of close that window and the length of fire season.
Okay, now do you see, or do the experts at NOAA forecasting, do they see this El Nino having another impact in 2016?
The forecast right now is for El Nino to start to go on the decline the next few months, especially in the spring. We should be back towards near neutral oceanic temperatures in the equatorial Pacific by this spring. And that's the official El Nino forecast, and it looks like we're going to go back to neutral conditions. What that means for us, it looks like possibly a near normal spring or past strong El Ninos. It's looked like we've had above normal precipitation in spring, which, as we all know, is our wettest months of the year. So even if we have a normal spring rain, it's going to seem like a lot of rain compared to last year. How we all have, we all remember the most recent event. It's like we should be able to have a nice normal spring rain.